Yo, what's up, guys? Oh. What's up? The Carl is joining us. Kat Manan, thank you for joining us also. We got three people. Where's Ken? Jump on, Ken. We talked about this, Ken, 5 minutes before. Alright, we got three people in the live right now. We're just waiting for Ken to come on and join me to start off. Hopefully he does. It's gonna be an interesting night. It's gonna be a very interesting night. There you go.
Good evening, bro.
Good evening, Ken. What's up? What's up? Glad you could join me tonight.
Yeah, bro. Nothing much, man. Usual Saturdays, busy, but we would rather be productive even more. The day doesn't
Yeah.
stop unless we tell it to stop.
Mm. Wait, one thing before we get into this, you gotta show me the hair.
Not
What's
now,
the hair
dude.
look like?
Tomorrow, my episode.
Maybe not now. Did you show Slickmaster your hair or something?
No, that was audio. That was some audio
Oh, okay. All right.
recording thing.
Oh, wait, you're waiting for the reveal of your hair to be
Yeah.
tomorrow. That sneaky bastard. All right, so again, everyone who's joining us tonight, to the five people that are joining us tonight, thank you very much for joining us on hashtag PWG Live. This is a show where two professional wrestlers get bored during quarantine. I think we're still under quarantine. We're still under a quarantine. So right now we're just passing the time talking to many different people. But tonight is going to be extra special because we're going to be talking about the hashtag Speaking Out movement that's been happening recently all over the internet, Twitter. So basically, for those who are not really that familiar with it, um, yeah, it's a growing movement on social media that is shedding light on the sexual, physical, and emotional abuse inflicted upon members of the wrestling industry. It's not just it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. There's been a lot of stuff that has been coming out the last week, and I told Ken this. I just felt that I needed to use hashtag PWOG Live as a platform to talk about it, to try to learn more about it, to try and help you amigos and amigas learn more about it because yeah, Ernesto Marie, lad. Hashtag justice for Nina, exactly. Because we want to get to the bottom of this. Why does this happen? What does this do so that we can just show people all the sides of it and just maybe be able to effect some change. So tonight we will be joined by Moonshine of 8-Bit Fiction, who is a registered psychologist and a teacher who has actually dealt with some people who have gone through this trauma of being the victim or also being the on the other side of the fence. So yeah, what do you think? What do you think is gonna happen tonight, Ken?
I have no clue, but I just want to add on to that, to what you're saying, that if anyone wants to join in the discussion, feel free to
Yeah,
send in your questions, or if you have anything to say. Man, our platform is open for hashtag speaking out. It would be ironic if we don't allow you to join us, to help us to indulge in this very sensitive topic, but it's something that we're not turning a blind eye on. So we are no experts at it, just so we're clear, put that disclaimer out there. But this is an important topic that
that's why we
we
have
need to
Moonshine on.
discuss. Yeah, we need to
Yeah,
discuss this. So
we need it.
hey, if,
Good.
if, you,
And
if
we
you have a
want to learn from it
voice,
also.
we're all ears here.
Yeah. And yeah, if you guys have any comments or questions, just feel free. I'm not sure how many questions we'll be able to get to tonight, but we'll try our best. It's a heavy topic, and we'll see what goes. All right, Ken, it's already 9 p.m. I should invite 8-Bit Fiction on so that Moonshine can talk to us. Thank you for joining me to start, amigo, and we'll see you later for John Cena Saturdays.
See you guys. Enjoy.
All right, thank you, brother. All right, just waiting for 8-Bit Fiction. Oh, Moonshine. Hello. Good evening, Moonshine.
Hey
Yeah,
JD.
yeah. Thank you for joining me tonight. I know this is going to be like a very interesting topic and very heavy topic, but before we start, just want to introduce you again. Thank you for rejoining us on hashtag PWG Live. This is Moonshine. She is one third of 8-Bit Fiction, and she is a registered psychologist and a teacher. And she will kind of like, help us discuss or like look at the speaking out movement in wrestling in ways that maybe we didn't see. Like, because right now, obviously, there's a lot of anger online. There's a lot of hate, and it is very much justified that the speaking out is where a lot of the people, a lot of the victims who were victimized in the wrestling industry over the past few years feel that they needed to do this to finally get their stories be heard. And it has actually bled into other aspects, other industries, also the comedy industry, also the theater industry have also been, this movement has also bled through that. So yeah, Moonshine will be here tonight to help us try to process it, try to understand it a little bit more, because she has dealt with things like this in the past, and hopefully we can learn something about it, and then we can see where we can go moving forward. Ang dami kong sinabi. Thank you again for joining us tonight. So I guess to start it off, yeah, I guess to start off, like, I just wanted to get some of your thoughts, because this is like very similar to the Me Too movement that happened, I think, a few years ago also. Do you have any thoughts on why, like, not why, on the speaking out movement and it happening right now?
Okay. Well, also, Sweet is here. If you've been watching, she's my
Yes, congratulations on the new podcast, and hi, Sweet.
So if you hear somebody talking, it's just her.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, bottom line is, it is very important that these things happen, okay? Because it is, I think we always need these kind of wake-up calls that, hey,
Yeah.
these things are happening and it is not okay. And they've been happening for so long, and a lot of people have been pretending that it's not, because, maybe this, maybe that. There are a lot of reasons why it's taken so long for these movements, or for all these women or men to come out and say, this happened to me. And that has to do with a lot of the stigma and a lot of the just a culture of, I suppose, keeping things as they are. So any shakeup like this, okay, is good. I think is a good thing, because we gotta shake things up. We gotta disturb the peace, okay?
Yeah.
And if we want to change the status quo. And I think these movements are really important, because we do want to change things up. Like, we don't want the structures to stay as they are. And so that's why this is very important.
Yeah. So I guess in a way you can also like attribute it to how the Black Lives Matter protests are happening in the States, because these structures, these societal structures have been in place for so long, and they've been trying to voice themselves. They've been trying other avenues specifically to try and get their stories heard, or like have change process. But does it just come to a point that they've exhausted all the means, and then this happens?
Yeah, I think that's the sad reality, because it is it's a word that actually gets thrown around and mentioned a lot lately, especially there in the US with regard to the Black Lives Matter movement and the protest, and that's systemic racism. But then aside from that, okay, although systemic racism is a whole thing, and you want to know more about that, read up on it, because it's a complex situation, but it's good to be informed. But I think it is similar to that, but not quite, okay? In that, of course, there are also systemic problems when it comes to, sexism. But so much of it is also so subtle. Okay, I know that's a little weird to say, because not all of the actions, especially the ones that are being called out, these are not subtle actions. They are assault. They are very clear-cut situations of abuse, and those things, call them out, because we need to do that. And there are particular situations where that needs to be done, because we want to protect other people, that kind of thing. But I also want to kind of get to bring attention to the fact that this is rooted in some things that are in it, and it's so deep that a lot of it can. There are so many subtleties and nuances that I do think should be understood in order for things to really change. Because, yeah, it's not just always these clear-cut situations.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many of these areas also where it's so hard to navigate because it gets so complex. Like, if you really get to it, if you really go into the relationships and the interactions, it's like, so what about this? What about that? And I think, yeah, I'll just come out with it. I think sometimes, and this, I know this is a really hard thing, but sometimes there are things that happen, and I'm talking about how there are things we need to be careful with, okay? Yeah. And we really need to give ourselves some time to learn. And this goes for, this is for everyone, because it's just, because it's so deep rooted, to really pull it out by the roots, okay? You really got to dig deep. Yeah. Otherwise, we're just chopping it off from the top and it'll grow out again. And that means really doing some hard work of digging.
Yeah. You mentioned it, it's deep rooted in everything. So again, like, there's a lot of different situations, there's a lot of different kinds of abuse, and there are many potential explanations to why people abuse others. But you mentioned the root. So is there like a root cause for a lot of the abuse that happens in our society?
And this in particular is, I mean, not to make a disclaimer or anything, but this in particular is an opinion that I'm just admitting it's an opinion. Okay, it's an opinion that I've formed over the years from, my interactions with friends, from what I've learned from my clients. Okay, like you said, and just thinking about the world, and even my ideas about how people learn things. So I think, my opinion is that so many of these problems are rooted in, well, let's just say the patriarchy, okay? In how there are really deeply rooted structures that give men, particular privileges and entitlements that women are not granted. And that's something that's rooted in history, okay? It's something that where we came from, but maybe we still see that it still exists until now. But, and this is really something that there are the clear places where we see them, where these men or these people are really entitled, and then they abuse their power because they say, for example, feeling entitled to women's bodies, right? I mean, that's a very clear part of it, but it's not just that, and this is where the deeper roots are, I think. It is that same problem that makes men, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
What I mean,
I'm okay.
I hate generalizing, but it's the
Yes,
same
no, it's okay. I am a man. I accept it.
That makes it difficult for men to, for example, process their feelings. Right? It's the same. It's the patriarchy. They were taught that, no, you don't have feelings. All your feelings are anger and desire. That's all you're allowed. Sadness, confusion, subtleties of killing or even fear they're not allowed. You guys have been conditioned, and tell me if this is true, to not feel those things, right?
yeah, you grow up like as a well, as a guy, you grow up thinking that no, you just got to be strong, you got to be stoic, you got to not show emotions. So yeah, like that's definitely true. Like
Right.
it's not like we were like specifically taught that way, but like seeing people, seeing our role models or like whoever we grew up watching, that was always like how we felt we should be,
Right.
and
And
it
you
was ingrained
haven't
in
been
us.
given a different model. Not really.
No,
Right? I
no,
mean, fine, media I think is going that direction, but you're already full grown men at this point, right?
yeah,
So a lot of your past and your childhood, this was the only thing you saw. This is how
mm,
men are supposed to be. Men are supposed to be highly sexual.
mm,
Men are supposed to be lustful. Men are not supposed to have these feelings. Okay,
mm,
don't cry. Don't talk about your feelings. Um,
yeah,
just drink. Okay, or drink away your problems. Okay,
mm,
this is the mold that you were born into,
yeah,
and so and I think that's a problem. Okay,
mm,
but this is where it gets a little complicated. Okay,
yeah,
because that this is the state of the world. Okay,
mm,
for the men, it
yeah,
is kind of like in general, men grow up thinking that this is really how the world is,
mm,
right?
yeah,
So if you grow up with just this perspective, okay, it's kind of like you just don't know anything else. That's it.
mm,
That's the
yeah,
only option for you. And so that's why it's so hard when
mm,
and I think it's so hard for men when they encounter things that are not in that their mold, not in the
yeah,
mold that they were poured into. It's hard
mm,
to empathize
yeah,
because they don't know, they have no experience of that. They were never taught, they were never or not or taught otherwise, taught to be averse, okay? Taught to like,
mm,
no, 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 that's not for me. Okay.
yeah,
So yeah. So that kind of structure makes it
mm,
very hard. Well, it helps us understand. It helps me understand as a
mm,
non-male that this is
yeah,
very hard to change. Okay,
yeah,
because it's kind of like, how do you make someone understand um, what Philippine mangoes taste like if all
mm,
they've tasted was the mangoes from other countries?
yeah, okay,
It's
yeah,
like, how if they have no experience of it, how can they empathize? Okay,
mm,
if this is all they know,
yeah,
what can happen? Okay,
mm,
and I think that's where a lot of the problems. That's why all those abuses happen, because
mm,
I think it's rooted in. That's also where entitlement uh,
yeah,
and and the idea of women as property, or that's where
yeah,
it's rooted in. But also
mm,
that's what stops men from doing better,
yeah, yeah,
because there's also so many hindrances to them seeking help, to men
mm,
changing.
yeah,
Like, it's like they also have this handicap, you know,
mm,
that makes it extra difficult for them to do better. And I
yeah,
think that really sucks. I mean, yeah, I think that
yeah.
sucks.
But you're saying it's hard. Like it's really, really hard to change that system because it's been ingrained in us for like the longest time, eons, centuries, I think.
Right.
But it's hard, but is it possible to be able to like make that change to make our society better?
Um, well, I mean, of course. If
Like
I don't have that hope, oh man, I get so depressed. But um, yeah, okay. So again, I just wanna, like, if there's anybody in the audience or later on who will listen to this, okay, I think there are. I am glad that the people who experience, those anybody who has ever experienced harassment or assault, okay, I'm so happy that people are finding strength to call it out, okay?
Yeah.
Because that's really important. And I see this, and it's such a powerful thing. Like, I can't even begin to talk about it without feeling emotional, because it's just so powerful when I see my clients start to own their power, okay?
Yeah.
Start to realize that, oh man, no, my worth is more than this. They had no right to do that to me. And because even that, like, from the angle of the victim, it's like, there's so much, because of that whole system of power, there's so much guilt that, oh, maybe it's my fault, maybe I did it, maybe I asked for it, maybe I was stupid, I didn't protect myself enough. And there's so much of that the women I've had to work with had to go through. So the moment where I hear them say, I held myself and I felt, oh man, this is my body and I love it. You know, like things like that. Or I hear them say, no, you know, this person was a hypocrite for having done that to me and then acted like he cared about me. Okay, these are really powerful things. It's women waking up to their power, and that is so important. And I love that. Okay? But I also, okay, and this is the really hard part. Okay, I'm gonna say the really hard part now. And
Okay.
I have been telling you how afraid I've been to say some of these things, because I'm afraid, like, people are gonna be like, huh, why are you talking about the abusers, right? Why aren't you talking about the victims? And I guess I also decided to talk about this because I'm talking to you and you're a guy, right? I think it's really important that men hear this particular angle of the story. Because, yeah, how can men, as part of this system, help change it? If it's so almost so intrinsic that it is going to be misunderstood, right? How is change going to happen? And so I, like, as a woman, okay, I really I mean, this is an extension of something I also talked about last time. It is coming from my practice of compassion that I have come upon these ideas, these realizations, that if I put myself in the shoes of men born into this world where I only saw this one perspective for a long, long time, and I really didn't understand that telling someone she's hot in an unsolicited manner is unwelcome and threatening, for example. If I was born and all my life, all I ever knew was that that was okay. And then one day it's like, oh, it's not, right? And then I realize, like, fuck, it's not. And I know it's like, and I know that might sound really crazy for some people to hear, but in my practice of compassion, I think I'm just like, okay, yeah, maybe it is. Maybe they really have no idea because they're aliens, you know, we don't live in the same world. They do not live in the same world we do. They do not know. And so what I'm saying is that men gotta learn, right? And men gotta learn the hard lesson of so much of what you know is an incomplete, is known from an antiquated time and from an incomplete view of the world. Okay, and I know, that's going to be so hard to understand because, like, what do you mean I don't see the world? it's not like that in my experience. But yeah, but then that's the stance I take, okay? Because if I don't take that stance and I don't try to bridge that gap in a way that helps them understand, then how will these, and I'm really talking about my friends, I'm talking about my clients. If I get overtaken by how shocked I am that they don't understand, if I give them the benefit of the doubt for a moment that they really don't understand, if I don't get past my anger and my wanting to reject them, who's going to teach them?
Yeah.
How are they ever going to learn? Right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I want to talk about this in a way where I do not judge you or people who are open to trying to understand. Oh man, okay, was that wrong? Or
Yeah.
yeah, and I think there may not be enough spaces yet where men can actually ask those questions because there's so much anger in general.
Yeah.
And but that's to be understood why there's so much anger.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I guess I'm just trying to plant the seed that you know, we want men to be able to learn to process their feelings. We want men to be able to learn to get past these handicaps they're born into.
Yeah.
But the question is how, if nobody tries to bridge it, if nobody tries to teach them. And I'll just go ahead and say it. They're not going to learn it from other men.
Yeah.
Because like they really need to see it from the perspective of women. And if all they're met with is anger and rejection at every point, then it's going to be so hard to bring about anything at all.
Speaking out is step one.
Yeah, speaking out is only step one. There has to be other things that follow after.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am really acknowledging that it's so hard. It's so hard to do that. It's so hard to get to that step. And it's so hard to talk about the things that we need to talk about in that step. Because so many people have been hurt. So many people have been, you know, the victim. But like, you know, like what, in my head, it's like, why, what will all, like if I reject every single thing that creeps people out, what are we gonna do to the men? Right? You know? Hashtag men are trash. Yeah, it's true, but what about, how do we make them untrash? Right?
How do you clean us up?
Or are we just gonna burn all of them?
Yeah.
I'm like, we can't just burn all the men. We can't do that. There's some.
Well,
and I'm speaking. Well, I can't speak for all the straight girls, but I care about them. You know.
yeah.
Some girls need, you know, straight relationships.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, no judgment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No judgment. And
yeah.
that is a very brave stance. And yes, I totally agree that as much as men are trying to learn now and trying to find their feelings, it's still hard for those men who are actually like ahead in that department to teach other men, because they still didn't go through the things, the shit, the mud that the women had to go through, that women had to go through, obviously. And we're not just like focusing on women, because obviously speaking out was also for men and women, but like in particular this is the patriarchy.
Yeah,
a lot of how women react. I think a lot of how women like who also become abusers to other men also kind of stems from the patriarchy. I don't know. I'm not sure.
It's a whole traumatic cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I am definitely of the mindset, like let's say like barring that they didn't do anything very criminal, I'm hoping that women still find it in their hearts to teach men, so that we, like as you said, don't become the trash that we are, because we definitely are trash. It's just that, you know,
Yeah.
Systemic.
Because the
Yeah.
mold we're poured in
Yeah.
is trash. So we
Yeah.
gotta
Acknowledging it all.
right.
You're acknowledging the sort of conditioning. Oh, sorry. You're acknowledging the
Go
sort
ahead.
of
Go ahead.
conditioning growing up. Sorry, I'm just like butting in.
Yeah.
I'm just butting in. I feel like yes, women can teach all of these things too, but also as men, you need to acknowledge the kind of male privileges that that you grew up with. You know, I'm pretty sure everyone has heard, "Be a man, be a man."
Right.
Well, that is both good and bad. And now, in regards to this topic, it's really bad because being a man, again, like what Tia said, it really entitles you to so many things, and you don't even know you are
That's the
entitled.
thing. You don't know the
Yeah.
title.
So like for women, the first step is speaking out, but for men, the first step is to acknowledge that you've always had that power. That power has always been abused, even if you didn't personally.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And
Right.
but okay. Yeah, so that's step one. Okay.
Yeah.
But also, okay. Step two is always so hard, man. Like getting past step one. Because I think after that, and thing is, I also wanna say, like, I learned so much from my clients who also have been abused. The steps to healing are so complex, but
Yeah.
it gives me some hope. Okay, and this is something that I really have talked about with my clients, because you know what I used to feel before is like, yeah, fuck them, throw them all in jail, you know, reject them, block them, all of that. That was where I was until I started doing therapy, because as painful it is, you know, again, one is we cannot react. Like literally, I'm sorry, it's really just, it's hard to verbalize, but so I'll just say it verbatim as I can from what my client told me. And my client was someone who was experienced chronic long-term sexual abuse, right? Really, really.
Yeah.
The black and white kind, okay?
Okay.
But this person really told me that she's been looking at, it's part of our therapy. You know, she wants to not, we're working on avoidance, okay? Because a thing about, you know, with people who experience this, there's a withdrawal from the world. So part of her therapy is going back to the world, because the world's very triggering. It is at every corner. It's very triggering, but she's working on that. And she told me that, you know, we also have to acknowledge the nuances of this, the nuances of the severity of actions.
Yeah.
And and to me, I found that so like, God, the power this girl, you know, has to be able to have gone through what she experienced and say that there must be an acknowledgement of the nuances of the severity. Because she was looking at, you know, all these people getting mad at all these things. And she's like, okay, that one, it's like I can't pass judgment yet on that particular situation. It's creepy, but we cannot attack each thing like they're all the same.
Yeah.
Right? And I was just like, wow, the amount of compassion and power this girl has to be able to say that. And like, that shocks me, but also that fascinates me. That's why I do what I do, for experiences like that. So like, I started thinking about that, really, because I thought that was so important. That if we attack each instance of encounters with this entitled patriarchal system, each instance like they're all as severe, then how are things ever gonna change? Right?
Yeah.
So that's one. Okay. Basically, step 2 is really talking about those less severe ones and starting with those. Really.
Okay.
Like yeah. So maybe I'll give an example. It's okay. I feel like I'm just talking.
Good. Go ahead. No, this is me just listening and learning right now. So thank you very much for doing this.
Right. So, for example, someone messaging you. A guy messages a girl saying, you know, and then the girl's like trying to be polite. The guy doesn't get it. Keeps messaging.
Yeah.
And the girl's like, oh my God, what do I do with this guy? And then, you know, so there. But then the girl's like, oh my God, he's so creepy. He is like stalking me.
Yeah.
That's a kind of like, okay, that's creepy. And your discomfort is not something bad. Yeah. But at the same time, I would try to act with compassion towards this guy. Because what if he is clueless? What if he's been taught the ugly lesson of girls are just pakipot. If they say no, they mean yes. Yeah. And it can be something as mild as messaging a person.
Yeah.
Right? If I just react with disgust at that person, then the person is never gonna learn. Right? Yeah. And that's the hard part of step 2. That giving that kind of compassion so that a change in perspective can happen.
Okay.
And that's not easy, but that is something that I found is important. So I don't know, like you, I've talked to you about this because you're my friend, right? Yeah. And I found that, even the most well-intentioned people, guys, sometimes they really don't know. They're clueless. But
oh no, is the video gone? All right.
They've done some wrong.
Sorry, you got cut off a little bit. Can you repeat the last thing you said?
Okay, when they realize that they've done wrong, like for example, when they realize, oh man, I kind of like they're told, for example, that you made me feel unsafe. Right? I didn't like creepy. It's like now now they have to face the fact that, oh man, all my life I thought that was girls are just pakipot because that's been the lesson, and now I hurt people. Oh my God, I hurt people. Okay, because that's possible. It is possible for men to feel regret and to feel sadness and to feel like so if step 2 is for them to for I'll just talk about myself. I don't want to impose I don't want to impose it on anyone, but that's the point where I really, really try to reach in and try to be compassionate and try to look at them and say, okay, this person's clueless, so I'm gonna try to give just a little more patience so that this clueless person can learn.
Yeah.
And then I guess step 3, the step after that is, man, this person is going to have to suffer the guilt of what they did.
Yep.
Right? And I've seen that. I've seen that happen. And when I see it, I'm glad of it. Because it means that this person is now experiencing empathy.
Yeah.
Meaning they suddenly feel, oh man, I've hurt people. And that's painful. And again, going back to the going back to the men were also trained to ignore that kind, sadness,
Mm-hmm.
right? To ignore sadness, to ignore pain.
Yeah.
So they're there in a situation they also don't know how to handle,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
for me, if they get there, oh man, they're learning their lesson, okay? Let me help you with
Mm.
that. Let me help you process that
Yeah.
pain, okay?
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm like, I wanted, okay, let me just say it. There's this particular saying or popular thing I see online that, women, you are not men's therapists, okay?
Mm.
Like, and usually it's like a message about self-worth, okay? Like,
Yeah.
give yourself more value than that. But as a therapist, I'm like, but I'm a therapist. No, just kidding. It's like, I think that statement comes from the idea that people think therapists coddle their clients. I'm like,
Mm.
nah, therapy is hard. If what you need to
Yeah.
go to therapy for is to face your the ugly parts of yourself, then yeah, go to
Yep.
therapy. Then I say, yeah, women, be the therapists, men. So, because like nobody, I honestly think that there's not enough men to do the work yet for other men
Yeah.
because they're all still in the system one way or another. So
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I guess it's like, who are men gonna learn ways to manage their emotions from if other men are also, like, maybe men in their mid vicinity are also trying to figure it out and don't know how?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
well, this is how.
Yeah.
So I've found that, yeah, therapy, my
Mm.
clients, my friends, this is a hard thing.
Mm.
It's suffering having to face the ugly parts of yourself, the
Yeah.
really ugly parts of yourself. So what I find is most important there, so yeah, I don't coddle my clients, so I
Mm-hmm.
don't coddle my male friends, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, so what I like to say is, yeah, you're suffering, you're struggling, I see that, and I respect that,
Mm.
because you are not denying the fact that you did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You are trying to come to terms with it in a better way.
Yeah.
And so I respect that, and I'm here if you want to talk about it. I'm here if you want to process. I'm here if you want to ask me questions.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how I try to encourage it. I try to encourage it by giving it my respect. These people are trying to understand. These people are
Yeah.
trying to change. And if I look back at myself maybe 3 or 4 years ago, where if I wouldn't have given them that chance or the time of day, I realized that if I was still that, again, it's the same question. How are these men ever going to change? How are these men ever going to learn?
Yeah.
Right? How do we ever dismantle that structure of patriarchy if these men never learn? Right?
Yeah.
Where does it change? So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind
Yep.
of my take on it.
Yeah. Thank you. It's a very insightful view at it, because it's not a view that a lot of people like. Well, it's not a view that we see right now, because rightfully so, there's a lot of anger right now. So we're
Right.
still trying to
Yeah.
make our way to step 2 and step 3. So hopefully, once we get to that step 2 and step 3, we see it that way also. And thank you very much for sharing that, and for like sharing those thoughts on like the entirety of the speaking out movement and what it means. But I think now we gotta focus a little bit on the actual people. Besides the system, there's actually people in it. And actually, one of the people watching right now, Triple F, he's actually asked like the question that I'm about to ask right now. So he asked, "Hi Moonshine, may I ask, if someone told you their story, do you have tips on how to listen and comfort them?" So that was actually my question coming up, which is, let's say that you're a friend of a person who's been victimized. What is the best way to be there for them?
All right. Um, well, of course, okay, is to listen, yeah, as much as
Mm,
you can. Okay, because and it's, I think, beyond just comfort, because listening is comforting. Okay?
Yeah.
It's to empower, you know. It's
Yeah.
and not, how do you empower without making it, without also, because not everybody is comfortable. Not everybody wants the same thing. Okay, some
Yeah.
people want to confront, some people don't.
Yeah.
And honestly, I do hear a lot of it from my clients that they feel guilty that they don't want to confront,
Yeah.
but they have actually very good reasons not to. And I try to respect that too. I try to respect the reasoning, because yeah, like it's different person to person. Okay,
Yeah.
so just meet them where they are. Okay, right? If they want to, then okay, then what support do they need? Do they need more processing? Do they need more listening to? And then focus on empowerment. You know, that okay,
Yeah.
what do you need? And this is something I do tell my clients. What do you need to make you feel safer? What do you need to make you remember your power? Remember your power, remember your worth, remember your value. What do you need to help you
Oh, no.
feel safe? Your
Yeah.
power, you know, those kinds of things. And it can revolve around. And
Okay,
maybe
sorry, I
it
lost
could
you.
also,
I lost you for a bit again.
don't know. Yeah, what was the last thing
Yeah.
you heard?
You can just like if you can just like go back to maybe the last 30 seconds of what you said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I said, you can use these questions.
Mm-hmm.
What do you need to help you feel safe? What
Mm-hmm.
do you need to help you know your value?
Mm-hmm. Oh no. Yep.
I think you lost
Okay.
me again.
I
One
apologize
more.
again. My internet might be acting up. So uh yeah, sorry. What so I'm trying to remember the three questions. Was it three questions?
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you need to make you feel safe?
Okay.
What do you need to help you know your value or worth?
Know your value and worth. Yep.
What do you need to help you feel your power?
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you. We got it. All right. All right. Thank you very much. But yeah, I think nail on the head. Like they've been through a lot, so I think the best that we can do for them is to be there for them, and as you mentioned, empower them. But I have another question, which is like a little bit harder. What if you're on the other side? What if you have a friend that is accused of doing the victimizing, being the abuser? How do you navigate that, knowing the possibility, or it is possible that your friend may have abused someone? What how should you just let them go? I don't know. Like I'm just trying to understand it myself also, because there are two sides to every story, and this one is a side that not a lot of people hear because of the anger that is outflowing, and we don't really see step two or three afterwards. But yeah, this is just my question.
Right. I guess number one is, and this is the thing I've been hearing a lot of lately, and I think I hear it a lot because it resonates with me also. Choose your battles.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
it's like, is this person, like if it's your friend, for example, accused of something, or maybe you know that your friend did something.
Mm.
When I say choose your battles, do you think this person is open to the fact that they did something wrong, right? Or is it like, so that's already hard, like determining that, coming to terms with, is your friend really a misogynistic person? Like,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because like there are some battles that are really, really hard, and you might even put yourself in harm's way by fighting
Yeah.
them.
Mm.
So there, number one. But if it is a battle that you think, if there's hope for your friend, you think that your friend is open to listening and all of that.
Mm.
And yeah, it is hard. It's actually, it all starts with, in the same way you want to empathize and you want to um, allow this person space, okay, to talk to you and come to you for what they need, etc. It's
Yeah.
actually the same. So
Yeah.
even for the person who did the wrong thing, okay, if this
Mm.
person is coming to terms with it, with the fact that they did the wrong thing, or they are coming to you to try to understand, did I
Mm.
do something wrong? To me, that's already
Yeah.
an opening. That's already an opening. That's somewhere where if they do approach you with that question,
Yeah.
oh man, that's already you're going towards the right direction. It's a hard direction
Yeah.
to take. So yeah, listen. Okay,
Mm.
try to. That's hard, I know, and that's why this is not for everyone. I'm not asking every woman to do this. No, do this if you have energy and you have space, and if you find it in you, if you find that compassion in you. But I think it's important that there are spaces for men to be able to do this, like I said earlier, where they can ask these questions without judgment,
Mm-hmm.
and they get the answer to these questions without judgment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where if they, and it might not be an easy task, it might be something that repeats again and again before it sinks in. They might need a lot of examples. They might need prompts to trigger their empathy. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but if there is openness to that, why not? Okay,
Yeah.
if there is openness
Yeah.
to that, and we can learn to do that, oh man, then that's, we change people that way. And yeah,
Mm.
so what to do if, suppose your friend is open to it and realizes that, oh man, I I didn't, now I know. Okay, now I know.
Mm.
Okay, like now what do I do? What do I do? I'm such a bad person. Oh my God, I'm horrible. Blah, blah, blah. And you know, a lot of, we're just in the people I've encountered, those battles that I chose, it usually does
Mm.
come with like a bout of depression and helplessness and
Yeah.
hopelessness. Because
Yeah.
to truly admit that you did something wrong, like I said, it's suffering. So they may need processing. Okay? So yeah, if they're there,
Yeah.
let them struggle, because that
Mm-hmm.
struggle is part of the unearthing, the pulling those roots out. Okay? But also
Yeah.
support them in their struggle.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to me, that's okay. You're struggling with this. It hurts. You're in pain. I respect that.
Mm.
I respect that, because that means you're dealing with it. You're not denying it.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good points, and thank you for sharing that. And before we move on to the next question, I just want to tell you that we're running up on 5 minutes left. So if this stream ends, I'm just gonna open up a new one and we'll just jump on that one. Just letting you know.
Okay.
Okay. So in that case, like we already talked about the victims and the abusers, but like let's say it's not like the criminal or the grave offense. Let's say, for
Yeah.
example, you offend
Yeah.
someone or like
Actually, that's what I mean when I
yeah,
say choose your battles. If it's something that's
yeah,
really grave, then it's like, oh man, okay,
yeah,
file
of
a
course, yeah,
case.
of course,
You know, like
yeah,
find support,
yeah,
get a lawyer,
okay,
that kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
talking about
But
those
like,
other things that are wrong.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah, but for those other things that are wrong, like, what does it truly mean to apologize to someone? Because right now, I think like if you just look at it bare bones, like when you just say when someone tells you that that you offended them, and then you say, "Oh, I'm sorry," it doesn't feel like it's the right apology. So I just wanted to like ask you like, what is a proper apology in situations like these, in your opinion?
Okay. All right. So a proper apology is someone who goes through steps 1, 2, 3. It's an apology that happens after the steps, right? You have to
Yeah.
understand what you're apologizing for, or else, you know, it's like yeah, like how can an apology be sincere if you don't really believe you did something wrong, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
have to go through all those steps. I mean, that's one. But
Yeah.
then two, because I know that going through all those steps is it's not an easy task. Okay, I
Mm.
think that the men who do, or the people, okay, but yeah, it's a patriarchy, so fine, it's the men. The men who do go
Yeah.
through that and um, come out the other side having learned. Um, I think they should be vocal about it too, like what Seat was saying. They have to be
Yeah.
able to be vocal about it too. That I used to think this, but now I know that it is not, and for that I really am sincerely sorry. This is
Mm.
what I am doing now. Okay, there always has to be some kind of action, and
Yeah.
the action of going to therapy, even if it's a formal therapy, just the whole
Mm.
process of I have been talking to my friends, I have been trying to deal with the complexities of these feelings, and these are my realizations. Okay,
Yeah.
and then yeah, what's a good action? It can't. Basically, what I'm saying is it cannot just be an apology, right?
Yeah.
If you're acknowledging that it's this structural, deep-seated problem that you just realize, it can just be, oh, I'm sorry about that big structural problem. That's not.
Yeah.
That's not. So,
Yeah.
so talk about your process. Talk about how you understand it. Talk about how you got to that point of understanding.
Yeah.
And I think if we have more narratives of that, and then talk about how you're going to change, right?
Mm.
And there, not just the talk about it.
Mm.
It cannot just be an apology and an academic realization. It has to. You have to change.
Yeah.
Your behavior has to change.
Mm.
And thing is, and this is something I know, when someone goes through something that difficult, okay, or when someone goes through something like pain and suffering, and
Mm.
then they overcome it and they get through to the other side, they processed it properly and got through to the other side. That also means it's kind of like hitting all the birds with one stone.
Yeah.
Because at that point, this person has probably also begun to learn empathy. So it's no
Mm.
longer just that one thing or those particular actions that triggered that. Now they can apply
Yeah.
it to other things in their life. Now they learn to stop being so finicky about emotions. Emotions are normal human things. You have them
Yeah.
even if you're a man. Okay. And then now they have an experience of dealing with it better, so they can deal with their other emotions better. So it's kind of just like it is something that can overflow to and just be generally good for this person.
Yeah.
So that's how people change,
Yeah.
right? And I guess I hope will happen is that eventually more people will also be welcome to that change, because if we judge people too harshly, I'm not saying don't judge, na parang, yeah,
Yeah.
like, that's not what I mean.
Mm.
But if we judge them too harshly, we also rob them of the opportunity to change. It's as if
Yeah.
we don't want them to change. We want to stay
Yeah.
the same. We want them to stay ignorant. We want them to stay entitled and misogynistic. But we don't want. We do want them to change.
Yeah.
So there's a change in behavior, we also have to find it in us.
Hey, yes, sorry, we got cut off. Instagram Live reached the 1 hour. I'm just gonna wait for 8-Bit Fiction to join us. Ken, if you can, yeah, help moderate. Well, not really a lot of help moderating right now, Ken, but thank you very much for always being with us. And the Carl, thank you also. Just waiting for people to join right now. Ayan. Thank you again, guys, for joining us. Thank you for joining us on this evening where we're discussing hashtag speaking out. Hey, sorry, we got cut off. It was 1 hour. But yeah, thank you again for joining us. And as you were saying about yeah, we want men to change. We want people to change. We want them to acknowledge that they're privileged and everything. Yeah, if you just want to finish off like the thought of like how people should go through apologies and then what the change in that apology should be, like what, like just finish your thought before we got cut off in the hour earlier.
Okay. Yeah, like that if people do exhibit this whole like, yeah, they went through it, they went through steps 1, 2, and 3, they did the hard work facing, their own, yeah, all of the things
Yeah.
that are wrong with them, with what they've done, and I think it is possible for us to see if it's sincere or not. Like,
Yeah.
I think, you know, yeah, like that's why it's good for the men who go through this to write about it, be examples of how this should go.
Yeah.
Or even just to talk about it like this,
Yeah.
and I know, I think there is also a lot of fear around that because of, cancel culture.
Yeah.
Right. I think that was where I was, because
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, that's also where the whole severity thing comes in, because yeah, if it's extremely severe, then okay, I'm sorry, like that's really hard. But I'm
Yep.
talking about, the less severe problems, but are still problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, write about it, show how you changed, show how the process that you went through, and then just keep living it, because this is it's never going to be like a one-time thing. It has to be something that leads to change, right? So, but there has to be space for people to do that. That's
Yeah.
why we also have to find it in us to allow that change. Right?
Yeah.
And that's
And-
hard. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that's easy. I'm really, I keep saying it's hard. It is. Because
Yeah.
a lot, but see, I'm also coming from the whole, what if there were real change just that, but men don't talk about it because they're also afraid of being like, nah, you're not, you're still an asshole. Okay? Oh,
Yeah.
like, yeah, oh no, this person here is talking about, whatever, women empowerment, but 6 years ago this happened. And it's like, okay, but what if it was real though, right?
Yeah.
What if, like, I can think about things I did 6 years ago I regret. Like,
Yeah.
I think maybe, so well, I keep saying we have to because I really do believe we do, because if not, is it just line all the men up and just like kill them all because they're just canceled forever and ever? Same severity as, it's hard. It's a hard thing to navigate. A hard thing to talk about.
And yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that point. And I think it already answered my final question, which was supposed to be, where do we go from here as people and as a society? And yeah, you hit the nail on the head. We have to change, but as you said, change is not easy. It's gonna be hard. Hopefully that the men who do see these stories and who do like feel that sense of change, because I don't know if it's like a sense of survivor's guilt, or it's like a, like, because there are men that empathize. There are men that feel very badly that this is happening, and we just want things to be better also. And you mentioned a lot of different ways to go about it, but I guess I just wanted to ask you your final thoughts on like, where should we go from here, from this point, from people speaking out? They did it 2 years ago, they're doing it now again, but like, what is the lesson that we should learn, and where should we go from here as people and as a society?
Okay. I think I want in particular to speak to the men, right?
Okay.
Because I think the conversation about the victims, there's a lot of that already in existence. And go, empower yourselves, find productive expressions of anger, seek out support, know your power, all of that. But for the men, okay, just to summarize, even if you didn't do anything, there has to be an acknowledgement of just the privilege that you have and the entitlement that comes with it. Because that acknowledgement is what will lift the blinders and allow you to empathize and see the more realistic world that is the world of men and women. Right? If that step doesn't happen, everything else is kind of hopeless. So that is it. So step one. Step two, it's hard, but it's kind of like how just because people are have certain privileges doesn't give them like okay, like for example, economic privilege. I have economic privileges, but and that can be taken against me. Why are you talking about equality? Well, you're doing fine and all of that. So it's the same. Like men, you have to acknowledge your privilege before you begin to understand this thing.
Yeah.
And you have to acknowledge how in the little subtle ways you play into that system.
Yeah.
So whether or not you did anything questionable or creepy or any of that, acknowledge it all. Right? And that's going to be painful because you're gonna find things maybe that like you didn't know were off, but now you have to face the fact that it is, and you have to face the fact that you may have done this. You may not be that person, that good person that you thought you were because you did this and that, you played into this or that. You didn't catch this or that, therefore in some little way you were complicit in that system.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part, I think. Okay. And then 3 is work through that. Reach out. Try to find people to talk to. And I know there are not a lot. But I guess this is a space to what we're trying to do here is to encourage more spaces where people can do that. And I hope that really those spaces also exist for men so that the men can also learn to process their feelings in a healthy way. Right?
Yeah.
Because we want the men to change. And then 4 is change. Change your behavior.
Yeah.
Keep acknowledging your feelings. Keep processing it. Right?
Yeah.
So it's not just, I respect women. No. It has to be deeper than that. Okay?
Yeah.
Go to therapy. And I think that's it. That's how we move forward. That's how we change things. That's my plan. That's my plan for breaking down the patriarchy.
Yeah.
Okay?
And it's a good plan. It's a solid plan. There's a lot of steps, but that's what's necessary. And thank you very much for joining us tonight, Moonshine. Thank you very much for all your insight. I hope that the people who are watching this have learned something. Before we let you go, can you please tell us where they can find you or 8-Bit Fiction online?
All right. You can, I hope, I've never said these things in public before. I've said them to my friends. I've said them to my clients. But if anybody here has any question of anything, if you want to expand the conversation, you can write to me at letters@8bitfiction.com. This is something I feel very strongly about. So if you have any thoughts, go ahead. You can reach me through there. But if you just want to see other things or just talk, okay, we do have spaces. We are really wanting to welcome people to encourage this kind of exploration of self and this kind of learning of self-compassion over at the forums at 8bitfiction.com. You can find us there. Or of course, we're on Twitter and we're on Facebook and we're on Instagram. That's where I am right now.
All right. Thank you very much again, Moonshine. Thank you, Sweet, for joining us. Well, we hope this opens up a lot of conversations. And
okay. Well, I'm sorry, I forgot.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Sweet and I are here because we want to also plug our podcast,
Moonrise
Yes.
Queen on YouTube, 8bit, youtube.com/8bitfiction. We have new episodes every week. At least we try to.
Yeah. And we talk about these things. We talk about these hard
these
things.
things,
I
you
get
know.
scared every time we record.
We're just introspecting on camera,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
The episode we recorded today actually really plays into it. It's gonna be
Yeah.
released on Wednesday. It's this conversation, but like kind of expanded some more.
Mhm. All right. And thank you again, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And stay safe, wash your hands, and we'll catch each other soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, bye.
Bye. Thanks, Moonshine. Thanks, Sweet. All right. That was a long episode. That was a necessary talk. Ken, I will ask you to join me so that we can debrief. We can finish it off and finish this Saturday off. Yo,
What's up, bro?
I'm good. I'm good. How did you find the talk?
Overwhelming, honestly.
Yeah.
I was all ears. Just like everyone else in the comment section, probably. I
Yeah.
was just there as a spectator, if you will, in terms of what do we need to know, what do we need to acknowledge.
Yeah.
And it's great that like some of my takeaways would be there's the beauty of the power on or like that one victim as a victim or like one of her clients that she
Yeah.
encountered that
Yeah.
you can't attack everything like it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's a different kind of power, that's a different kind of discipline,
Yeah.
regardless if you were a victim or you were the abuser. But that's something beautiful. That's
Yeah.
that's using your mind thing. What's
Yeah.
what's the norm, if you will. It gives me how would you say, discomfort. It gives me
It's a-
kinakabahan ako to talk about this right now because whatever we
Yeah.
say in this episode for hashtag
Yeah.
speaking out episode is valued, is of value.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, like I don't know, I just want to acknowledge as well, like for the victims, please use this power that you have right now. Please
Yeah.
continue to speak out. You can speak out in all levels, if you will. You don't have to blatantly post online. You can approach the people just like 8-bit fiction, Moonshine from 8-bit fiction. Approach some friends, especially those you feel comfortable with,
Yeah.
to share such experiences. And for the abusers, man, like, just the acknowledgement. Just if you want to change,
Well, obviously, this is a disclaimer also. If it's like really grave offenses, obviously you're gonna have to like no
pay for the consequences.
pay for the consequences. But like for the little things, because again, as Moonshine mentioned, it's a systemic thing also. But also, we may be part of the system, but we're not. We shouldn't be bound by the system. We should be able to like know what's right, know what's wrong, learn it, and then hopefully teach it to others. Because as she mentioned, growing up as guys, we didn't acknowledge our feelings. We didn't know where to let these out. We were always told to be strong, have a stiff upper lip,
Toughen
So,
it up, right?
toughen it up.
That was
So-
our default template. Like we had no choice but to be tough.
Yeah, but it doesn't excuse us also for like just being ignorant. We need to learn. We need to be better, and that's what hopefully where we're going towards. And yeah, you hit it on the head, Ken. Like, if you're comfortable with speaking out, speak out. That is your power. But also, if you feel that you can heal more by just keeping it to yourself, also that is all you. While we're here, if you're a victim, what we're here to do as your friends, as people that care about you and love you, we are here to be with you, listen to you, and empower you. So, yeah, this has been a this episode has been on my mind for the past few days because it's been a very heavy topic. But I'm glad that we were able to talk about it. Glad that we were able to like look at different sides of the equation. But yeah, Ken, I think hopeful. I'm just very hopeful. I'm just trying to be hopeful that moving forward, we know how to be better as people, and that's all I'm hoping that this episode can help bring forward.
Yeah, dude. And like, if I can just add on real quick, just to everyone, for everyone who's gonna be able to watch this or replay or it's live right now. The world is not a peaceful place right now. So the least you can do for you is be at peace with yourself.
Yeah.
It's up to you guys how you guys want to approach that, how you want to express that, for a lack of a better term.
Yeah. And with that being said, Ken, I think we have to bring it to John Cena Saturdays and end this. We have been on for more than an hour, and thank you again very much to everyone that is joining us. But now it is time for John Cena Saturdays. June 25, 2020. John Cena. Ask yourself more questions about yourself. Look inward honestly and without bias. Looking inward honestly and without bias takes courage, but you can find out more than you ever imagined. So, as with our talk earlier, we need to look not just at everyone else around us, we need to look at ourselves. We need to look deep and understand if what we're doing, who we are as people, is good. And John Cena nailed it on the head. If you can find out, if you can do it, if you can look inward honestly and without bias, it takes courage. But if you do, you can find out more than you ever imagined. And hopefully that is where the change starts. And hopefully we can bring down the fucking patriarchy. Obviously, Ken, thank you again for joining us. The Carl, thank you very much for helping us out again with this. Yeah, tomorrow we'll have Sean Hernandez from TNA. What time is it again? I don't remember.
That's 11 a.m. Texas time or Central Standard Time, and that's
Okay.
12 midnight on Monday, which
Okay.
is basically Sunday, 12
Sunday night, it's
Philippine
hard.
time.
Time is hard. So yes, thank you again for joining us tonight, amigas and amigas. This has been a very heavy talk, and thank you for joining us and in this discussion. We'll catch you again tomorrow for hashtag PWG Live, and thank you very much and good night. See you guys.